Hey everyone, welcome to my channel Hritik Talks, and today we're gonna talk about one of my favorite artists of all time, Lana Del Rey. And those of you who don't know about Lana Del Rey, first of all, why don't you know about Lana Del Rey? Let's talk about who is she, what are my favorite songs from her, and where are we heading after this. Okay, so let's dive into this one. So those of you who might not know this, Lana Del Rey is a pop musician. She dives into alternative music as well. She is an enchantress. Her music is magical. Her music is amazing. It's brilliant, and she has been referred to as one of the best songwriters of this century. And so let's talk about her a little bit. So Lana's debut album was Born to Die, and it came out in 2011, and it was a huge success, especially because of its pop hip hop inspired beats as well as catchy lyrics. Some notable songs are Born to Die, National Anthem, Blue Jeans. Those were the kind of songs that were really bangers on radio as well. So that's why that album was quite very, very popular. And then after that, soon, like after a few months after she released Born to Die, her debut album, she released the music video for Ride, which still remains one of the best music videos a lot of people have ever seen, to be honest. And she hits themes, guys. She actually hits themes in that music video, and you haven't watched it, please check it out. I'm gonna put the link in the description box as well, so check it out after this video. And and after releasing that music, after releasing an extended LP, that's Paradise, so Lana dived into more of electric guitar, country, folk kind of music. This heavily rock inspired album called Ultraviolence was Lana's turning point, according to me. It actually showed the audience that Lana could actually dive into different genres, talk about different stuff, talk about different topics, and not just limit herself to talking about relationships or boys or something else, right? So Ultraviolence landed, and it was a heavily rock inspired album. Like it was a direction away from her debut album, which was Born to Die. So Ultraviolence actually performed really good on charts. Ultraviolence was something that people were not expecting, but definitely that people needed. Again, no one expected this, but Ultraviolence gave us radio bangers like Brooklyn Baby and West Coast. So these were two huge bangers from this album. Otherwise, album title track known as Ultraviolence, it was Sad Girl and Cruel World, as well as Black Beauty, which were absolute bangers. And Old Money from this album is still
one of my favorite songs.
So after making a rock inspired album, Miss Lana Del Rey wanted to dive into different genres yet again. So she gave us Honeymoon, and Honeymoon is this slow, melancholic, smooth kind of album that dives into a bit of jazz genre, and it actually touched on topics which a lot of people wanted to talk about, but they couldn't eventually. And this brought a new like a fresh wave of music in the music industry, according to me. When Honeymoon came out, it came out when there was when music industry was still dominated by EDM pop, by electric pop, by dance pop, which was quite famous at that time in 2015. Some of my favorite tracks from Honeymoon are, of course, the title track Honeymoon and Terence Loves You. So if you haven't heard the song Terence Loves You, please listen to that song and bless the ears. It's beautiful, the way that song is composed, the way that song is written, the way that song has been sung by Lana Del Rey. It's amazing. And other notable tracks include Salvatore, which is Adele's favorite song of Lana Del Rey's as well. Now we're gonna move to Lana's third studio album, Lust for Life. And Lust for Life was a commercial success, a commercial hit in an instant. It featured The Weeknd, who is a brilliant singer. Lust for Life actually shifted Lana's focus from jazz and slow melancholic songs to radio bangers, to pop bangers. Now Lana was going mainstream with Lust for Life. I think this was the start of her mainstream career with Lust of Life, and this album actually cemented her legacy as being one of the most prolific singers, songwriters in the music industry at that time. And some of my favorite songs from Lust for Life include Tomorrow Never Came, Summer Bummer with A$AP Rocky and Playboi Carti. Then we have 13 Beaches, and we have Cherry, and last but not the least, Get Free, which is the closing track of the album. And then after a hiatus of 2 years, of course, where Lana was working on new music, Lana Del Rey released her critically acclaimed album, which some people refer to as her best work till now, was Norman effing Rockwell. So nobody expected this. I am 100% sure nobody expected the kind of magnitude, the kind of magnanimity with which came with Norman effing Rockwell, and it really changed the music industry's perspective towards Lana Del Rey, who was already a legend at that time in 2019. So Lana Del Rey released her fifth album, that is Norman effing Rockwell, on 30th August 2019. And I still remember the time because I was working at a company and I was very excited for Lana's music, and when I listened to the album for the very first time, it was something beyond magical. It was brilliant, it was beautiful, it was sad, emotional as well, but it was something which was empowering and which was bold of Lana to do so as well. And some of my favorite songs from this album are Norman effing Rockwell, of course, the title track, Marina's Apartment Complex, Cinnamon Girl, Venice Beach. Then we have How to Disappear, which still remains in my top 10 songs of all time, and the greatest. Some people call it the greatest song of the 21st century, but if you haven't heard the song, please listen to it. I mean, guys, the entire album is bomb. It's beautiful, it's amazing. You're gonna have so much fun while listening to it, and bless the ears, listen to that album if you haven't heard any songs from Lana Del Rey. And this album went on to receive 2 Grammys, one for Song of the Year, that is Norman effing Rockwell, and one for Album of the Year. Of course, to my surprise, the album did not win Album of the Year last year in 2020, and which was won eventually by Billie Eilish for When We Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go, which was again another banger's debut album. And moving on, in 2021, the current year was really the year of Lana Del Rey, because the Queen Mother did not give us one, but gave us 2 albums, 2 full-fledged music albums. So Lana's 6th and 7th studio albums, called Chemtrails Over the Country Club and Blue Banisters respectively, they were absolute bangers. So let's talk about Chemtrails Over the Country Club first. So Lana moved a bit into alternative genre, a bit into slow yet moody kind of a genre that she gave us with Chemtrails Over the Country Club. And the title track, Chemtrails Over the Country Club, became an instant hit, and it is definitely a part of a lot of top 50 songs list, or a lot of top 50 songs to listen to before this year ends list of people and from different production houses and etc etc. And some of the most notable tracks according to me from that album were, of course, the title track Chemtrails Over the Country Club. Then we have Dark but Not Dark.
One eternity later.
Dark but Not a Game, where Lana talks about fame, where Lana talks about the price that artists have to pay that come with fame, and the pretentiousness with Hollywood and in the industry in general. And some other songs that I loved from this album are Wild at Heart. Yosemite is my favorite song from this album. And we have Tulsa Jesus Freak, which is yet another banger from this album. Now we're gonna talk about Lana's latest album called Blue Banisters, which was released on 22nd of October 2021 this year. So it's been only a couple of months that Lana gave us this her 7th studio album, but it has been an absolute pleasure to listen to this album almost every single day of the past 2 months. And guys, trust me when I tell you, it's a long album. Like, not kidding, it's a really long album. It has like 15 songs, 15 or 16 songs, I'm not sure, but this, according to me, is one of the most it's one of her most vulnerable album to date. The themes and topics that Lana talks about in this album seem very intrinsic, seem very intimate, and seem very personal as well. And we dive into this album with a textbook where Lana talks about a lot of issues going around, a lot of issues going within herself as well, and how everything amalgamates and leads to these amazing moments, yet the ones which are most inspiring to her music. So Lana then talks about the need, about how she doesn't need a man in her life, and how her sisters are the ones who are accompanying her in Blue Banisters. That's the title track. And then we dive into utopian world where everything seems perfect, yet things are chaotic, with this song called Arcadia. And yeah, I mean, so some of my favorite songs from this album include Arcadia, Blue Banisters, Textbook, Wildflower, Wildfire, Thunder, Dealer, as well as Cherry Blossom, and also Living Legend and Sweet Carolina. Guys, you have to listen to Sweet Carolina. It's one of my favorite songs from this album. So that's the kind of impact that Lana Del Rey has on me and on millions of other fans around the globe, like over the globe. And Lana Del Rey still is working on new albums every day, new music every day, and recently she was awarded a title of Artist of the Decade by Variety, and yeah, and her speech was quite inspirational. So that was my take on the career of Lana Del Rey. I hope you got to know a lot about this artist Lana Del Rey from this video. And if you have any questions, anything that you want me to talk about in my future video, please subscribe and let me know in the comment section, and I'll definitely take this further and talk about that. Thank you guys for coming in, for tuning in, and I shall see you next time. Bye bye.